Hello everyone, welcome to the LightBringers Plays. Today is the episode number 2 and we're going to be doing the core game. No Ender Dragons business, we're going to be talking about the core game. We've got a brand new fresh account which you literally don't have to pay for, and it is the first, it's pretty much just the initial player experience. We're going to be playing 4 chars. We're going to be starting off in the char starter zone. And we're going to go through the basic new player experience. We're going to comment on things like combat. We're going to comment on things like, you know, maybe if we get to a dungeon, the story, mechanics, currency, and anything else you want to bring up live in the chat, we will talk about as well. If you have anything specific, maybe you can at me or at one of the people in there on the podcast as well, and we can talk about that. I don't mind if you do the atting. Don't spam it too much. So we are going to go for a char. So here we've got, like, I mean, this is an important part of the new player experience, right? You load up the game, and the first thing you have to do before you get into this is picking your server, right? And I actually, that's one thing I didn't do. I didn't check to see if there was much explanation about what the actual server picking experience was about. Like, I can't remember if it said this is just for World v World or this was for anything.
Yeah, what are they going to do now when World vs. World alliances come? Are they going to just remove that entirely or what?
Yeah, they're removing it entirely. Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Good. It's kind of a useless screen right now.
So basically, this will be the new, this will be the first screen you essentially come up on. There is no intro movie, right?
No.
No. No. But there will be, oh, actually, there's still going to be North America versus Europe, right?
Oh, that's true.
Well, yeah.
That's true. So you'll probably
yeah,
just
so you
select
pick
if you're
that.
in NA or EU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there's going to be that. So, you know, there's not going to be a massive big deal, but most MMOs have that anyway. So that's okay. No intro movie is interesting because most MMOs have that, right? Like Final Fantasy does have, depending on which expansion I think you're on, right? I mean, Griff,
well,
I think in age you play Final Fantasy maybe?
Final Fantasy does.
It's different because it's just because we have different races, so each race has a different story. It's broken down like, so each race has like 3 different separate lines, so you get a cinematic for that. But you don't get a cinematic for the overall story because you're not at that point yet, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But like, I mean, you did a review of Bless Unleashed recently, Griff. Did they had, and I played that. That was actually not a bad game at all, to be honest. But did they have that at the beginning? I can't remember. I think
you don't. When you initially log in, you don't have a trailer. It's only after creating your character do you have the story cinematic, which is similar to Guild Wars 2.
Is there a Bless that's not unleashed?
There was, and then it got
died.
cancelled.
They all got. They all did it. All different free versions of the game. Yeah.
There's a mobile version.
There's many. There's a mobile version as well. Okay, so we're going to be picking charts. So one thing that I really like about Guild Wars 2 is the art, especially like from the core game. This doesn't even look like something that you can potentially click and pass over until you actually do it, and is beautiful. I really like this. Any thoughts about the initial screen, how that makes you feel as a brand new player? Is it unique? Is it unique? Is it nice? Is it fun?
Yeah. It's
nice.
nice. Unique. I mean,
The
having
painterly
just
style.
concept art that painterly feel, it's definitely, for me, a nostalgia bomb.
I don't know about you guys, but on the bottom left-hand side, it looks like there's a space missing that should be filled with Tengu, but...
I agree. I concur.
Or down here, where Griff is, the Tengu popping out of the top of Griff's head. Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I like this. It gives you more, it lights up the character models more, so it's pretty cool. It shows you each race. It gives you a little bit of a description. That's 1 of 10. So we click on the chart. That's going to be out. You can actually skip to the end, which I think, you know, if you're a new player, don't do that. And you click on next, and you get to pick male or female. Again, you know, this is nice to have. I think in modern MMORPGs, this is starting to change, which I definitely enjoy. To be fair, like as a advocate for many different diverse communities, like having a very neutral, maybe having male, female, and then whatever you want to be. Models would be cool in the future, but you know, this is an older game. That's fair enough. So possibly.
They're so good for that.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna pick a female charm. Okay, so this screen here, I like this. I really love the art in the character creation screen and just the options of all the different classes. Do you think that this is, and this is a question that I always wonder about, especially when I pick up Asian, like Eastern MMO RPGs. I don't want to say Asian because that's such a wide area, but like, you know, and you think about Korean or you think about MMOs from that region of the world, they have these videos of each class. Is that something which you think is important in MMOs nowadays to give you an idea? Or is this a point where maybe someone is going to go and look up a video and that's good for maybe content creators? Because I'm very split in my own feeling about this. I just wondered what you all thought.
I think if you're invested in the game, like, or you want to do research about game, you're going to actually like watch the videos of different classes and what they do. But I know that's ingrained in Eastern MMOs for sure.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in Western MMOs, because I think in Western MMOs you kind of know what you're getting for the most part. So like if you see a warrior, you know basically what you're gonna get. If you see like a rogue, assassin, thief, you basically know what you get. Ranger, you know, all those types of deals. So, but I think it would be kind of cool to have.
Yeah, like, do you think maybe at least for Guild Wars 2, this screen should be updated a little bit? Like, for instance, Mesmer, nobody knows about Mesmer except for if you're a Guild Wars player, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty unique. Everything else is kind of iconic, but like, oh, Revenant, also something that's kind of unique. A new player experience, you don't get Revenant, though. Do you think maybe they should add a little bit more description as to what it could kind of do, plus maybe mention the elite specs that it has access to at some point?
Very good point.
They have recently gone and redone the little description, so it's maybe a little bit better of a representation of how the profession feels more present day.
At the bottom, Kroof, sorry, just to confirm.
Yes, the bottom text when you're hovering over the classes, little quick lore and gameplay summary. But it would be interesting if they just highlighted maybe a couple skills, because I know back in 2012 we had all the class trailers with different skill showcases. Maybe adding a little bit of that could be useful. As for elite specs, maybe just hint at them. I don't think you really need to showcase them in like a...
Yeah, not showcase them, but just hint. You don't want to overload them on their first character screen.
There is on the website. Now, this is where they could link to, or because they've actually got these videos done. That's the thing, right? Like, do you remember that with the up to launch of Guild Wars 2, how they had all the, like, you know, this is one of the things that got me really excited about the game, the different core abilities for each class. They've actually got these videos. This is the thing.
Isn't there a new player guide also? Like, didn't they recently, not recently, but like in the last 2 years or something, come out with a new player guide in the on the website?
They have.
Maybe, yeah.
On the website itself, but I don't think it's a video. I think it's just
No.
like
It's web pages. It's actually pretty good.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess what is it under game professions? All right, let me look at one of the professions here. So they do have all the weapons. See that they've actually, I'm going to chuck this on the screen. They've actually got this screen right here. And I feel like this would be really good to just chuck some of these skill videos into the character creation. Like, can you imagine having this? Like, I don't know, even if I throw it here. What's that noise?
Or at least like have somewhere, maybe not in character creation, you couldn't do that. Because you know how you could type /wiki in the thing to bring up the wiki? Yeah. If there was some mention in the UI that says, hey, you could type /wiki to bring up the wiki. Or you could type /new player guide to pull up our new player guide on the website.
Yeah. Absolutely. That would be useful. And even to have like some people who made like specific videos on maybe, that might be a little bit too much because it goes out of their, you know, remit of the kind of the game, and they don't want to do that.
The game has a built-in web browser essentially, so you could just pull it up there.
Yeah, the web browser could be utilized a little bit more. And I've seen a lot of people talk about like posting more current videos there and like community spotlights for new players to get invested with other community groups or guilds or just people of similar interests.
Okay. I don't want to harp too much on this, but I feel like this is a big first experience for a lot of people, to be fair, because it is a beautiful screen. There is a lot of room for movement, but I think they want to feature the kind of art style as well. So they've got all the different classes. You are not race locked. You are not gender locked or anything else like that. That's, you know, in all honesty, are you gender locked? I can't remember if you're race or gender locked in Final Fantasy 14. I know you are in like things, other games, other Eastern.
You are in 14 for certain races.
Okay.
But, like Viera, which is the bunny girl, but they're adding a bunny boy. So. Yeah.
So there is some. So there isn't in Guild Wars 2, everyone. Really good. Race, literally, race and gender have nothing to do with your skills other than your cultural abilities, which are just, you know, not massively powerful. No one uses them other than for random farming things, which someone mentioned the other day, for some of the routes in raids where people used to throw out a ton of golems or something. I don't know. But we're going to pick engineer. So it does give you a little bit of a information at the bottom, like Creef says. Well, melee or ranged gadgets, turrets, and toolkits. Technomancer engineers are jacks of all trades, and with enough time, masters of many, able to bring dozens of abilities as toolkits, etc., etc. Next page, 4 out of 10. Character creation. This part of character creation as well. I'm just going to go into the other screen because it might give us a little bit more of a view of the character. How good is this part of the game? Like your actual appearance, like height. Is there anything else they could go further with here, or? I think this is
our
right.
hunch.
Maybe we talked about this.
Be able to customize the hunch and the back.
Yeah.
I want to be a very tall char with no curve in his spine.
I want my char to have gone to the local chiropractor and got that sorted out. Okay.
I want a char that bends backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's just
concave.
As the commander bends backwards to meet all the needs of the people.
Yeah.
So.
I like that comparison. Yeah.
I would like more hairstyles for Char.
Yeah.
I think there's not a lot, honestly.
You could buy some, but yeah, not in.
Well, I would, yeah, like in the base.
Yeah.
Because I think they only added some for like human and maybe a Asura, I think.
They normally add hairstyles with the expansions. They did so with sorry, there's a thingy there. They normally do so. They did so with Path of Fire for sure. The different style of, you know, because different, we're coming across different groups of people and communities, right? Then, so they added hairstyles. Then, did they add hairstyles for Heartthorns?
I don't think so.
I don't remember, honestly.
No, I think they only added it for Path of Fire for humans, and then of course some Char in the future. But we haven't had a lot of character customization expansion in quite some time. But they've said End of Dragons, we're getting some more, so that's nice.
Yeah, they've teased that, right, a little bit here and there. Okay. I don't mind. Guild Wars 2 character creation is quite cool. I feel like the armor is really, and the cosmetics are kind of where you end up doing a lot more. And also, like, if you buy the kits and you actually, with the actual kits you get in the game, you can do more, right? With your character creation, you can actually add a lot more. And I think, you know, in the base game, you can have, if you've got a different character, you can have different, oh, I like that one. You can, sorry. Oh, I love character creation. You can do a ton more stuff, so it's pretty cool. Char is a little bit of an interesting one, which is kind of why I wanted to play Char as well. There's a few different reasons. It's nice that you can select your initial dies as well. For armor, I think that's pretty cool. But you know, you just start off with them and then you go through, but I'm not gonna mess around with that too much. This is very unique. I've never seen this before. Armor dies, like on each piece as well. They can't do that, right? In many MMORPGs?
I think they do that, yeah.
I haven't seen many that do, but seeing it first time in Guild Wars 2 for me, it was like, I was like, a whole new world. It was so beautiful to see, because you had that customization, just in case you don't want to look just completely red like Ronald McDonald. as an elementalist, you can change up your dies, and I loved it.
Nice. Anyone else care? I care.
I think it's definitely a great thing about Guild Wars 2. The amount of customizability of your... I mean, the whole point of Guild Wars 2, essentially, like, endgame is Fashion Wars in some ways. So, yeah, it's important that you're very customizable.
Awesomeness. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next one. So then you were given this option, especially with engineers, as it's a big thing you can change as well. And most classes you can get a different kind of mask, or you can get it used to be for NGs, you used to get, well, we used to have your hobo sack, which, you know, was a part of kits, which I actually miss from time to time. But, you know, you can still at least put it on as a back piece. But here specifically, you get to pick part of your story, part of your initial story into the game, which is unique to your character and kind of unique to your race as well. So this is again another part of the game where it is specific on your race and you know which one you're picking. So how do you feel about this kind of going in? I remember thinking personally myself, like, this is kind of, because I feel like they sold the game on the, you know, this is your story. I remember that being like, you know, this is my story. That was a word or phrase, like tagline. That's it, Kriv. How important is that to you, or when you're playing an MMO? Is that good in Guild Wars 2 in the character creation?
Well, so okay, I think it was, they had a lot of ideas for it. So in reality, when you pick your story, you pick between 3 different options essentially, and that counts for your first like 20 levels, 30 levels. Yeah, your story up to level 30 like essentially, and then it's essentially abandoned forevermore, which is fine because there's a lot more story to the game than just that. And it's true, you don't want to be locked into something that's hyper important in your first decision making a character. But in some ways it's very good, in some ways it's a little bit limited. Then there's I use my ferocity versus dignity versus my heart or something like that, my niceness, charisma, to solve things. This played a larger role early in the game. Like, there's a lot of options that you could select for dialogue options during your storyline, where you would like gain points in charisma or stuff like that, and then that was kind of discarded. So now I don't even know why it's in the character making.
It felt like that was going to be a big thing, right? Like early on, like when we first started playing.
I mean, even though you gain points in it, it never did anything. And so I'm wondering why it's still there if it's not being used at all.
I think it was just an initial development decision to like have this to have you have extra decisions or different decisions throughout different parts of the game, but it may have proven to be more difficult and like time consuming, so that's maybe why they nixed it. But they still kept it in because like maybe earlier on they kept it just because maybe we can do something with it later on.
Maybe.
It's also just be for pure role player satisfaction to kind of build that RPG element.
I guess so. Imagine though if ANET is secretly still tabulating all of your choices that you make in the game, and then like in the end of End of Dragons they'll be like, hey, by the way, you've been using your ferocity so much that now you're permanently stuck in this hellhole. And yeah, that'd be fine.
They could utilize it at least a little bit more, because it does feel like it was completely abandoned.
It was.
They don't have to do it to the point of like other games like Star Wars. I know that they have a system where they are like light or dark. Having 3 options, it could be a little bit more complicated, but seeing some aspects where you are charismatic, you're able to have a different dialogue option, that could be nice.
So what are we doing? Are we doing charm, dignity, or ferocity?
It's all
whatever your heart desires, Jebro.
I'm gonna use charm.
Remember, it literally doesn't matter. And even in the storyline, when they were still tabulating it and still using it, the options you chose did not matter.
Yeah. Well, so wait, but there is some in the inference, like the beginning story. I know we're gonna go
like the
kind
dialogue
of
is different when you choose them, only slightly, and the results are the same.
Which legion do you want to go for? Do you want to be a member of the same one? That's important.
That is also important, yeah. That lasts a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
In your storyline?
I think so. Chat, which icon? Chat's gonna decide our legion. Blood, ash, or iron. You can decide. We'll let you all decide.
We could play flame.
Yeah, right. That would be cool. Actually, would have been cool addition. Ash, blood. We need a tiebreaker. Steel, no, there's no such thing. Well, iron is a thing. That's close, I guess.
Well, steel is the. Well, it's
the warband.
That's spoilers, I guess.
Oh yeah, spoilers. We're new characters.
We're new players. Metal Legion. Oh, I guess that's iron, right?
You could be the Metal Legion.
Copper. We can't start just making up things, people. All right, going to be
That's
iron then.
Copper.
Metal Legion's a thing.
Aluminium.
Metal Legion is. Iron is the closest to it, right?
Yeah.
Let's be iron. It's a cog. I'm an engineer. That makes sense. Yeah, let's go. Okay. And then next, I would die for my warband, especially X, my sparring partner. Kind of wish there was a story with a certain Tybalt character, but hey ho. Does this make a difference in the story? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's just your companion for a few missions, I think.
Yeah. Anyone specific we want to go for? It does tell you some information about each one. I kind of like the one with the claw spur, the one with the eye patch. There you go. And then they tell me the soldier that sired me is a loyal soldier, a sorcerer shaman, or an honorless gladium. Ooh.
That's also slight story stuff. And you know what's interesting about all these story things? Every once in a while, even these days, they sometimes come up in like living world stuff. Like sometimes somebody from the Char Legion is gonna be like, "Hey, your sire was a gladium. You have no right to speak to me," or something.
That's it, really. That's awesome. I don't think I know
between. And it's never
very
highlighted,
far between.
so you will literally just miss it and never know that it exists until you go on like the forums.
Yeah,
I like that. Okay, I'm gonna go for the gladium because I like that idea. So gladium has no warband. My father turned his back on his. Now he's an honorless gladium with no respect for the chain of command, and I have no respect for him. Actually, I remember doing that before. Let's go for the shaman. I've done that before. Flame Legion shamans are once enslaved us. Because of this, my father, who is a shaman, is treated with suspicion and mistrust. I must overcome his reputation. Okay, right. So it's all very similar for that storyline because I remember the Char storyline with the father and everything else. Okay, cool. We'll pick that. Now it is the character. I don't think I have one character called Jebra Unity at all. Actually, no. This is a female Char. Jebronica.
Jeb.
I need a name, chat.
Jeb Binks.
Jebitha.
Tabitha, but Jebitha.
Yeah, I like that actually. Go with Jebitha. Okay, cool. And that is 10 out of 10. So that is character name. Doesn't need to be too ridiculous. Jabrina. I like Jebitha. I'll go with Jebitha for now. Not a bad suggestion there. Okay. And here we go. Intro. Oh, I love this.
I am a Char. In this world of constant battle, I am the deadliest weapon of all.
Oh yeah.
I respect no authority but the clenched fist of my legion. With engines of destruction, we have killed our gods. We reclaimed our homeland of Ascalon, and we planted victory banners on the graves of our enemies. Yet if we weak them, it could slip through our claws. Victory at any cost.
So
the Iron Legion's war cry can be heard in the churning of gears and the roaring of siege engines. I serve the Iron Legion. I build the future. I forge the weapons of Char supremacy. I've earned the respect of my comrades, and forged alliances I can call on in times of need. My Legion values innovative solutions, efficient execution. Like our steel, we do not bend. Centuries ago, humans stole Ascalon from the Iron Legion. They have paid for that crime in blood, but the usurpers fight us, even in death. Today, the combined armies of the Black Citadel will assault the ghosts that plague Iron Legion territory. I have been assigned to reinforce the bulwark. Let the Ash Legion strike from the shadows. Let the Blood Legion die on the field. I am part of the machine. This is my story.
This is my story. There you go. That's the thing.
So this is, it was really fun when I first made my first char, Mr. Fluffy Bottom. And I intended to, you know, does everything with charisma, is trying to be very nice. And then, like, my story was, like, this intense, edgy thing. Yeah. And I was like, wait a second. He's not
amazing.
I forgot how long these are.
It is quite long, actually. It is pretty long.
Chunky.
It is. I love that intro screen. Okay, a few things when we log in. So I'm gonna have the camera on the left-hand side a little bit most of the time. Ah, cool. Newbie boots. There we go. Thank you for the invitation. So we are gonna play for a little bit through the game right now. There is a getting around kind of screen up there. Actually, I may have that along the bottom again because actually can't see those little pop-ups. So you do get the getting around little update screen WASD keys to move your character. Use them to move around now. Click on this end to close it right there as well, so you can move around your character. Standard MMO controls. We obviously know a lot of people, I mean specifically I control my character in many different ways. Right clicking, holding down, and literally just as that I said that it pops up. So hold down the right mouse button and move your mouse to control your camera. Continue to hold the button while moving to steer your character in the direction of the camera. And many players do that. Also they use left click to hold down and move forward, and using just the strafe buttons to move as well. So many people using the game in different ways, which obviously you can do a little bit later. But yeah, so not bad. Like little intro into the game. Is it clear what you have to do and where you have to go to do it, though, when you immediately come in?
I would say yes.
Yep.
You know, you can't go out of bounds. It's pretty much a straight shot. It's a good setup. One thing I like to mention about the camera, though, I kind of wish that they would at least highlight that there is an action camera mode, because that can totally change the way someone experiences and plays Guild Wars 2.
That's true.
Are you all playing in action camera right now?
I play it 24/7, so I do.
Action camera is very, very good. When it first came out, people were very like, I don't play with it specifically, but then when I was, just because of AoEs and because I play engineer, like AoE placement is something I get very, you know, specific about. And it is very good. Because why? Because so many MMOs use it now as well. They all use mostly like brand new MMOs anyway, action camera.
Where's the how do I where do I do that? Where do I enable that?
It's in the hotkey section. So it's not actually like you don't activate it via camera sections.
Okay. Yeah,
but it's
on my normal account I have a hotkey for it, but
you just keybind it and then you can activate it whenever you want.
Okay.
Where is action camera again?
It's in camera in options for your control setup.
You go down to hotkeys or keybinds, and then go to the camera section.
Oh, okay, cool. Action camera, toggle action camera. Let's get far.
It doesn't have a default keybind as well. So I agree, Chad. I do think that there should be at least a default option and a pop-up that says press this button or combination to activate action camera.
Yeah, I agree too.
Okay, cool. We've got action camera. We're gonna go for action camera for a little bit and we'll see how that goes. Okay, cool. So we get one skill and we get the heal. Another reason why I played engineer specifically, actually, you can't even see my character, so I'm gonna pop that ass on the side, is that the leveling experience on engineer is very interesting. Trying to get one weapon skill for quite a while. Also, you do get, only problem with obviously action camera is not having a mouse pointer. You do get the Ender Dragons coming up. and the Path of Fire. There is nothing for Heart Thorns, but that's because you get that with Path of Fire anyway, so I guess that's why. Oh, look, and then there you go. Look, you get the Guild Wars 2 Path of Fire now available to play. This episode has been permanently saved to your account and will be playable once you purchase Path of Fire 5 Champions. So even on the free account, you can get access to that. If I was a new player, though, that might be a little bit confusing, I think. Yeah. Like, what is this thing? Like, what is this episode 5? Wait, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a whole debate about how Living Story and expansions work.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people would just want, if you buy Hotter Thorns, you get all the Living Story before it. If you buy Path of Fire, you get all the Living Story before it, type of deal. So it just makes things easier, or just like you pay a little bit more to get those, because it just makes the whole experience a lot more fluid in terms of the story.
It's definitely a problem, I think, that they have. Still, season 1 is a big issue as well. You can't get the only problem with Guild Wars 2, like you say, Age, is that you can't get an idea of the entire story of what's going on from Living World to like the end of maybe where it is. Obviously later, like season 2 and onwards, like when you can play those episodes, you get an idea. I think there is definitely that feeling that people kind of miss out a little bit early on, specifically. It's always that comments about replaying episodes like the first season, right? Even if it wasn't everyone's favorite.
But you have to keep in mind too that also initially with Guild Wars 2 there wasn't any plans to do expansions, so it was always supposed to be like this persistent world that was always kept going. So if you missed out on content, you missed out on content. But now they're actually going back on that just because it's more important to actually have players experience the story and understand the story rather than not be just coming in and going, well, what the heck is going on, type of deal.
Mm-hmm. Very, very true. Oh, ooh.
I need your help, soldier.
So this was cool. I know we're not necessarily going to show all the story about this, by the way, people. But like this kind of to and from cutscene. Like, do you enjoy this? Do you miss this? Because this doesn't happen anymore.
Not really.
I'm kind of like torn. I think it is kind of placating to my nostalgia side of my brain that I do kind of miss it. It was really interesting. It was a bold move, a bold decision to go this route. But I do think that the current way that they tell stories, where it's just open world dialogue boxes and voice acting, it's probably for the best.
Yeah.
I think that it's possible in EOD, at least from the trailers that we got, that we might get something in between, which I think would be a better solution too.
Yes.
Like we had those cutscenes where they had the faces that were very animated and stuff that actually like really nicely animated.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what we're missing from what we used to have with the original storyline, is that at least in these cutscenes, like you had. They took some care in doing the animations of the faces when they were talking, and they were doing the lip sync and stuff too.
Yeah.
Which was good. Just the setup though of it, like one person talking to one person, sort of like on a plane like this, was very artificial. It was a little weird, and definitely people found it a little weird. So now you have people like the NPCs acting out stuff in game, which is I think better than what we're looking at. But I think that we're missing just like because they only do like emotes now in game, right? When they're talking and stuff a lot of the time.
Yep.
So you're missing the tender love and care that they put into actually animating things.
I get you. Okay. And then this more, so yeah, I guess I did enjoy those, especially the voice of like the character. I guess we did hear obviously our character speak then, and a little bit more of the art in the background. I think I like that art style. I really do miss that art actually a lot. Okay, we're going to the crypt. Looks like there we go. There is some stuff you can kind of hit, and you can smash. I can't remember, when do you unlock your second skill? So level 2. So technically you could try and get to level 2 here. I think it takes a while. I think you have to literally do this to get to level 2.
Did someone level up to level 80 in a beginning zone?
So.
Really?
That must have been...
Why?
Painful.
I mean, people watch the video, I guess.
I think there was an amount of time where you could actually use the Tomes of Knowledge to level up in this zone, so you get to 80 easily.
Oh, okay, maybe that's...
I don't know if you still can.
I think I have done it. I think you can.
So one thing to remember here as well is Guild Wars 2 actually as well, in terms of hitting and getting experience, you could hit anything and you didn't have to be in a party to get experience. Like Guild Wars 2, not many games had that when Guild Wars 2 was released. They pretty much, I'm pretty sure most do now. So if you're a new player now, it's just a normal thing to expect, but that's pretty cool, right? Like you're not having to necessarily...
Yeah.
You don't definitely steals.
Yeah. So just talking about this for a sec, I definitely think that this sort of small but epic in its own little way introduction for your characters, the instance, for all races, I think is just one of the things that made Guild Wars really good.
Beautiful. Yeah, agreed.
It definitely grabs your attention when you have something like this.
It was...
I do wish these were maybe a little bit more challenging. Not like to the degree where you can't do it, but I feel like over the years they've really like dumbed it down a bit and kind of just made it an encounter where you just hit it and it's over. And I don't really feel like it necessarily lives up to its epic visuals to just so easily just press 1 and be done.
I mean, you used to be able to die in this opening tutorial, but now you cannot die in this opening tutorial.
See, that is important though, I think, as well. Like, because you want that initial experience to be like, whoa, this is cool and this is what they can be. I don't know. I think I might be on the other side of that. I think it could be longer. Definitely could be longer to make sure to make that more epic. I definitely agree. I'm glad that you can't die in that bit. I think it would be funny if you could, but like, just watch a new player, especially streamer one.
Go down.
Yeah, to teach you the main mechanic of the game. Right. That would be cool.
You can help.
And then immediately, boom, into story again. The more of the old school kind of storytelling, and then we're into the map. We're into like the main thing, and also you get your first major reward, and you get some experience, and then you learn this is how you level up. So this, well, not level up because this is a reward because of the story. So I like this screen generally, and just the rewards and how you get them. I think that's. I don't know if there's anything else anyone wants to say about that. But you hit level 2 as well. You get second skill. It's cool, right?
It only becomes agitating if you happen to be a long-standing player and you have a lot of tomes and you just instantly level up a character to level 80 because you have to go through each and every one, which can be a little time-consuming, but...
Should I tell you what I've never really noticed much? I never really noticed much as well is this build template key thing here. I barely ever noticed it ever. Just never click it.
So
yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Can someone else say like they can literally like? I'm not sure if I've ever clicked on it.
It's relatively new. I think it's in the last few months or something.
I think I ever have. That's funny. Oh my god! I just noticed that. Blimey. Okay, that's awful. Sorry. Continue, please.
So in that level up panel thing, one of the things it says is like gear stats, and you can click on it to get a little more information. And where it's a little pop-up that says stats on gear improve your whatever. It said like it gave you little examples. Power increases your damage, precision increases your chance to crit, and toughness increases reduces the damage you take. Now one thing I noticed. Okay, so watching a few streams of new players. I don't think it's prevalent enough that shows that kind of thing. Like some people, it takes a while for people to learn what is like a Condi weapon versus a power weapon. And so like someone might be stacking a lot of power damage because I think it's just doing more damage on a Condi weapon so they're not actually doing more damage. They're not they're not doing as much damage as they could if they were taking condition damage instead, you know.
Yeah. So more, especially like ferocity is a big, I think can be confusing to new players as well as a specific stat. Actually, I think a lot of stats might be kind of confusing. I think a lot of, and what they actually mean in Guild Wars too as well for a lot of people. I don't know. That's a good point. Do you think that could do with a little bit more explanation then, Boots? Is that what you're saying? Or
possibly like maybe just add 2 more lines to that blurb if people click on it that say condition damage increases damage that conditions do, and tell you what a condition is. At some point they're going to tell you what conditions are right here.
I hope so. I'm kind of hoping they would show you a little bit more of that.
If you open up your hero panel and you go to equipment and you highlight over the different attributes, it kind of gives you a brief description.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not necessarily looking for that.
To kind of piggyback off what Age is saying, it is a little overwhelming for new players because there are so many icons and categories of attributes. They probably could reshuffle this and kind of block it to where you have like the core attributes of like power, condition damage, toughness, vitality, healing power, and then like a subset of more specialized things like concentration, expertise, ferocity, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible that you make a good point that since it's so much, there's so much in the game. Maybe this is just stuff that they're gonna like throw at you at level 50 and be like, "Oh, you've been playing for a while. Maybe it's time to learn about conditions."
Yeah, that's a good point as well. Do you want to overload the new player with all of this stuff initially, or do you want them to just experience the world, use a weapon, fire it, and go and do some quests and have fun in the world, right? Like, I guess that's a big design decision.
A good thing that they don't, but I don't think it comes early enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because that typically, I mean, even I've been talking with newer players who reach level 80, and they still ask me about questions on what does this stat do? How do I build this certain way? So if level 80 characters are coming and asking these questions, maybe it isn't done early enough or as thoroughly enough.
That might just be a level 80 boost, though, you know?
I don't know. Some people have been like, "Oh, I'm returning. I've been playing for a little bit, but I came back and I've been playing for a couple weeks." So
I like what was said in chat as well. Sorry, H2 for 2 seconds while we're on this.
Go for it.
But like about how, you know, part of it is just finding out yourself how to play the game as well, and just like literally making builds which suck. And then suddenly changing them, and maybe builds that are bad but are also good. But yeah, H, sorry, continue.
I was gonna say that if you probably come from another MMO where you like min-maxing, you probably want to do research on. You probably do your own research on it, but I think for like the average player, they're just gonna like go for it and play, and if they're like surviving most things, they're just going to continue playing. And I'm not sure about the gear you get as you level up is good for whatever class you're playing, but I think that's what most people would do in that situation. Because I know for me, I really didn't focus on any of my stats until like later on when I was like level 80. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna decide which gear is best for me and things like that.
Yeah.
So,
but because when the game first came out, we didn't have the new player experience, right? So we didn't have the ability to learn those things through the game in a good way. They didn't have any really tutorials in the game. And I think when Heart of Thorns came out and things actually got a little more difficult, it was a rude awakening to a lot of players that they finally said, "Oh, I gotta start actually looking at my gear and figuring out what works."
Well, I mean, and that's something which you got to work out, and also what else you have to work out as well is how do you quest in this game? Like, how do you level up? Like, what do you do at the beginning? And it does kind of point you out when you go to like the map. You go to the spyglass person, and it points you to this first quest here, or first heart quest, or whatever you want to call it, or event, or whatever we're calling it. In the top right hand corner. I just wonder, is this really, how obvious is it that, I mean, because obviously we all remember playing and we all found it fine, obviously, in the end. Like, how different, this is a big different experience, isn't it? Like, this is like public quests, which is what they were called in Warhammer Online, And Rift had this a little bit with their Rift system as well, but that was more like dynamic events. But like this system compared to questing, how do you feel like most players probably get this when they first come across it? Is it a fun experience? Like, is it obvious to find it? How good is it for a new player to be like, you know, this is how I level up? Essentially,
if you come from an MMO, I think it's either you like it or you hate it, honestly. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people who first played Guild Wars 2, like, were just confused by there's no NPC that gives quests. There's like just like there's on the map, and then there's random ones that happen, which are dynamic events. Some people, like, I know quite a few people who don't like hearts in like the seasonal stuff, just because they're repeatable ones and things like that. But
I think overall knowing where to go is pretty good. I love that they put a scout right at the entrance of when you leave the first instance. Scouts are extremely useful for new players and to point you in the right direction. They point you to where to go to quests. But I do think that they could explain what hearts are a little bit better in terms of highlighting that you don't have to go return to a quest giver. You do it in a general area. And around hearts, dynamic events typically pop up close to these areas. So that could be something maybe to highlight or just explain a little bit more.
Okay. Well, if you want to come over and get this first heart done kind of thing, you can experience something which is newer and which is quite cool as well for new players. So I just completed this first heart, right, and leveled up. So they didn't have and talking about, you know, things they've kind of added over time, they didn't have these leveling up rewards before. They didn't have all this stuff. They didn't even have, they may have thrown it into your bag, I can't remember, but this UI isn't new. It's definitely like added after launch for sure. I'm pretty sure 2014 maybe.
This is part of the new player experience.
Yeah, like this is new player experience, which is not brand new, but like it does point out, like it gives you information about like hero panel stat increases, like we were talking before, and weapon skill 2 being unlocked. So you click it and it gives you this little spiel here about what this is. You know, you've unlocked a second weapon skill, press 2 or click your second hotkey to unleash your new attack. Cool. Stat increases, talks about that. Stats have improved, you improve as you level up. Toughness decreases incoming damage. So it does just talk about some of the stats right there. So that's level 2, kind of. Is that's not too bad actually. I don't think I've ever clicked on that since I've leveled, because I guess maybe I've used tomes.
I think it's smart that they stick with only a couple stat types while leveling, just because there are so many, it can get very overwhelming. But if they honed in on like power, toughness, all that stuff, then that's a great decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they say that you could open your hero panel and I guess okay. And
there's a hero panel there as well. Yeah, you've just received a weapon. Your hero panel displays items from your inventory that you can equip, as well as your character's stats. Open it by hitting the icon top left corner or by pressing H. I mean, that seems like enough information, probably.
Well, maybe also say hover over the stats on the right-hand side to have a description of what they do.
Yeah. Or even if you open up the panel, then maybe have some more pop-ups in there, maybe.
Another pop-up.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you've got the bottom right-hand corner, you get your first kind of wobbliness, which, you know, could be fun for some people and not fun for others. And because we just completed that first heart, it hit us over to level 3, which gives us inventory, which is more information. Things like bags, weapons, armor can be equipped. Open your inventory with I key and double click on the equipment to equip it. So we've got...
There's a dynamic event.
Ooh. Oh, is there? Let's go do that.
And sorry, there's this orange thing that I don't know what it is, with a flag.
There you go. And
I think, if anything, dynamic events could be explained a little bit better.
Yes. Or is it more fun to just kind of have it pop up?
Yeah, I like the no hand holding. I mean, there's some hand holding, but there's very minimal hand holding, and I kind of like that, and I think a lot of people like that as well. It's funny, there's not that much hand-holding in the beginning when you're leveling, but at the same time, it's not very difficult. So...
Yeah, it's not difficult to understand it.
Trying to remember
meta events
when that is. Also, just as a note, level 3 rewards. You get player versus player. So take capture points, slay enemies, and earn rewards in player versus player team battle. Click the cross swords icon top left of the screen to enter PvP, which boosts you to level 80. Access to PvP unranked is level 3. There we go.
Oh wait, are we doing PvP? Enter PvP?
No.
I'm in PvP now.
Oh, are we going?
No, we're not going.
PvP.
That would be interesting. We can drop into each different mode, of course, as well. One thing that is very cool.
Well, unless you use a portal or something.
I got a mail for going into PvP.
Okay. So we'll talk about that in a bit. Upcoming rewards. This is a screen. You were really bombarded with a lot of stuff actually. As soon as you just done one event, did one heart, and we're level 3 already, and then it tells you all of your upcoming rewards when you've hit level 3, I think. New profession skills going to be unlocked, new equipment, personal story, and then you get 5 hero points when you hit 11, and it says you will get plus 5 hero points at level 11. It doesn't really tell you what hero points do. Personal story, I guess, is fairly obvious. Getting new equipment and a profession skill at level 5 is pretty cool. Yeah, I guess that's cool, right? And like doing that event, yeah, I don't know. I kind of agree with what you're both saying about the dynamic kind of event. A little description about your first dynamic event like popping up, I definitely feel like that would be cool. Like, this is a dynamic event, you can do these and blah blah blah, etc. Things happen.
I guess dynamic events were so heavily marketed and talked about back in 2010, 2011, leading up to the launch, and it is on the website and talked about, just not necessarily in game. But once again, they are, as Boost was saying, they are pretty easy to like, oh, there's an area over here. Let me go over here and see what's happening. And sometimes you will have some NPCs come up to you and say, head over in this direction. There's something going on, and they'll mark it on your map to go to as well.
Yeah.
I think the exploration part of Guild Wars 2 is kind of like half the fun, where you just run around, do stuff, and then you see things. And it's like, oh, can I do this? And it's like, yes, okay, I will help. And I feel like that's a really good part of the Guild Wars 2 experience.
Did you play Thief when you started the game, Age?
Yes.
What was it like leveling as a Thief as a new player then? Was that difficult?
It wasn't difficult. It was just... Like, what do you mean from difficult? Just like fighting different things? I guess
maybe like the kind of style, right? Because I guess when I think about a rogue in like World of Warcraft, like it was very much, you know, I have knife, stabby. Like, whereas in Guild Wars 2, there's like combo fields, right? And I feel like Thief is one of the classes early on where, like, if you don't start learning about combo fields, then you're not going to really find out much about the class early on, you know, because like stealth.
Yeah.
And you know.
So you have to keep in mind, since I started at launch, I had access to like all my skills, essentially.
Yeah.
So that made it a lot easier. Combo fields, I generally didn't. Honestly, I didn't really learn about until I started playing PvP.
Yes.
And that's when you're like, oh, I can actually use my 5 skill on my pistol and my 2 skill, and then I can go invisible. Like this. Like
there's still no in-game combo field tutorial, right?
No.
As far as I know, no.
But they did just add that functionality that if you put down a field, something like, or if you're standing in a field, your combo finishers light up now.
Have you got, who has a combo field now? Who has a combo that they can actually do in a field?
Any of us do.
I have a finisher.
Yeah, we have projectiles, right?
No one has a field.
That would be interesting. Yeah, no one has a field.
I'll try to grab a staff. Where's a staff around here?
Yeah. So this was something else, and that's a very good point, Age, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. But there is an important thing I wanted to just bring up, and these new new achievements, which if you haven't got at the moment, and if you haven't played a new character for a year, I think these have been out for about a year or so. They're brand new achievements, and it's just literally picking up stuff as you go through, like just getting achievement. Where is it? It's called Tutorial Mastery. There we go. So there's all these different achievements you can get. There is actually a ton of achievement points to get here, to be fair. Like 5 points, you can get karma boosters, you can get experience boosters, you can get different gear. It's mostly aimed at people leveling up. I think this was a really good little addition to give them people a little bit of a boost and a little bit more loot actually as well, which is quite cool.
One thing to point out that they could maybe just do by baseline. As a free-to-play player, I don't think you can do dailies. So you won't have that daily achievement menu up in the right-hand corner. But if you do have an achievement pop up, you can click it and then you can actually like watch list it. So you can kind of keep track of it as like your more traditional quest log. The collections in Guild Wars 2, I often look at them as more traditional questing experiences because you have like a checklist to do, go here, go there. So that is kind of where you fulfill that desire.
You say you can't do, I've just put the daily up in the top right-hand corner. It doesn't come up originally, but I think you can do dailies. Can't you?
No, you have to upgrade your account.
Interesting.
Or at least the login rewards. You might be able to do the daily events.
You can do daily completions.
Okay. Never mind, it's just the daily login rewards.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That would be interesting. Yeah. I mean, I think obviously you can't do a lot of the dailies because you still need to have access to a lot of them, right? But the core dailies like mining or like, you know, just, you know, cutting down wood and like, because there's like Ascalon miner or something like that. There you go. I like.
What do you think about being a new character and then seeing these guys flying around on sky scales?
Probably jarring.
You're like, I want to do that.
Probably like, whoa, these look like high-level mounts that level 2 players are using. What? Where'd you get that?
You might be whispering them, right? Maybe, and like just being like.
You can't whisper as.
Well, that's that's very true. That's very true. So let's talk about that. What is the? So as a party of new people playing together, hi, we can use party chat. Mail is, can't remember, mail's reduced in terms of like being able to send stuff, right? You can't talk in map chat. Yep, map chat is unavailable. Upgrade your account with Guild Wars 6 expansion.
If you're in a party.
You can whisper if you're in a party of people. Okay. Hi, Kroof. Oh, cool.
Or maybe you could whisper other new accounts, just not full accounts.
Maybe.
Should we go say hi to that shaman?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait, that's shaman?
Yeah. The person that shaman is paying homage to. His name is the guy in this map, I think.
Oh,
the shaman that everybody used to die on in the early game.
In the fire cave bit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna complete this art first. I really like what you're saying, Age, about like the leveling up spirit experience as well. It just reminded me of World v World. That's where I learned. World v World was my big draw to Guild Wars 2. And was where like combo fields came up for me specifically. It was like learning all the combo fields, mostly like 10 person, 15 person, just like stacking up and stuff as well. Just being like, boom. Like this is stacking swiftness, might, and then moving, and then stealth, area stealth with like mesmers and stuff and portals and all that kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, right now there's no good one in game, but if you need a good quick combo guide, any new players in chat, there's.
I have a fire field.
There's show me. Where are you?
I have burning rush or burning steed.
There's a good video on YouTube called Basic Guide to Combos.
There you go.
The person who made this video must have been an extraordinary, talented, and handsome individual.
That's what I think, yeah. We gotta go see our skills light up. Go find proof.
Fire!
I think like because when I first started playing, I was like one of the early World vs. World players where no one knew what they were doing.
Nope.
I was just like throwing all the AoE skills at people. It's good times.
That was brilliant, man. I missed that World v World, early World v World was so good. That was the best World v World. When no one knew what the hell to do and like sieging was sieging. And that was done like so experimentally, and it was such a fun event. Loved it.
I have a question for you. So There was an NPC that was dead down here.
Okay.
Rezzing, right? But yeah, I guess it's rezzing. Yeah, it's called Was it always called resurrect? I thought it was revive.
It's called resurrect, I think.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, you don't know much about that right now, do you? That's true.
No.
That is so you don't know. Like, I mean, I guess you're not dying much, but if you're a new player, you don't know what dodge is, right? Either. Like,
oh yeah.
Is dodging and reviving an important thing for them to mention in the game right now? Is this something that maybe they could have mentioned a little bit earlier?
There's locations I think in every starter map where you're supposed to learn to dodge.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So that's an interesting way to do the tutorial for it. It's better than I guess just a pop-up.
Haven't hit that yet.
Whenever we get access to the down state and our down skills, I think that's probably the best place to learn reviving. But more importantly than just like being in the down state, you can actively revive other players without having any revive skill. You don't have to be a certain profession to do that. You can just go up and start.
Wait, so right now, do you even have down state? That's true.
I think not right now. It should come in a bit.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna go get myself killed.
Yeah, I am actually. I think you're right about that, Chris. I think I think you're right. Or is that when the tutorial triggers, maybe?
Or at least there's a portion where I think it's highlighted. It probably will still put you in the down state just for the sake of like.
I don't know.
Survival.
I don't know.
Is it possible to die right now?
Let's go find out.
Unless you, I mean, in a starter zone it'd be hard because they're not really. No enemies are aggressive. They all hit pretty.
They can't stand to look at you, right?
Amount of health, so for the most part, you're not going to be dying anytime soon.
I'm gonna try to get killed by this hatchling. Hold on a second.
Wait, this vendor isn't selling me anything. I was still doing the event as well.
Okay, you guys keep talking. I'm just gonna get myself killed.
Hopefully, a friendly player doesn't come by.
They're gonna help you. This is the problem. Guild Wars 2 players are too helpful. Good lord. Terrible.
I'm getting 21 damage every 4 seconds. So I will die in about 4 minutes.
Yeah, let's get those random ooze right now.
Let's show these guys some good old junkyard hospitality.
Yeah, junkyard hospitality.
Wait, how do I interact with this?
Okay, I'm halfway dead, guys.
I would just
we believe in you. You can do it. Should I aggroed another mob?
I probably should have. In fact, maybe I will.
Heart vendors they don't talk about too much either, to be honest.
I guess that's one downside of not needing to return to a quest giver is that the heart mechanic, you will still have rewards that you can buy from the heart merchants.
And there's achievements as well for some of those, isn't there? Like collections, right? So early on, I mean, I remember when I replayed something like you. Wait, did you get downstate or?
I got no downstate. Automatically defeated. Use a waypoint icon to bring up your roll.
So yeah, you're right. Good
I had a feeling that was.
Yeah.
Also, it didn't like give you a little warning at I don't know 30% health to say, hey, you got a heal skill.
Yeah, right.
Nice.
That's a good one. That's a good point. Yeah, definitely. The event is quite long-winded.
I think that they don't expect you to be facing death situations here. So I can understand why they don't, but I think I'm interested to see when that pops up. So I'll keep my eye on that.
So what's next, Jeb?
Just finishing this event to see what that looks like, and then get those achievements there, because I think like naturally people will try to stay in these areas. The events aren't like too involved here. But then looking what pops up after this, because there might be another one. Because we kind of did one and just seeing how in these first areas whether or not they chain together pretty well or not. Because you got like 30 seconds, we might as well do this. So everyone's got their third weapon skill, right?
Yes.
No.
Oh.
I died.
Oh yeah, that's true. You don't lose experience though, so that's good.
Sure I did.
Some games do. I guess you lose experience by not being there and doing the thing.
Also, I spent like a good amount of time in PvP. Just learning the ropes.
Oh, so with those achievements as well, you do get specific gear as well. So I got enhanced mighty leggings, so I can go for the medium It gives a level 5 as well, that achievement. So they're actually assuming you're getting that a little bit later than maybe. Oh, they're all level 5. Okay.
And you get multiples of them.
Yeah. This is actually really good. There you go.
Kill the Flame Legion.
He won't let me. He's not even here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you get a bag as well. A little 4-slot bag. I got a torch. I can't mail the torch to anyone, can
I? I doubt it.
And there's a Vista over here.
Yeah, so there's some restrictions. Honestly, okay, so this is my first time doing the new player experience. Honestly, it is not as jarring as I thought it was going to be. In the way, like, I thought it was going to have a lot of in-your-face, hey, you're limited, hey, you know, maybe you should upgrade, maybe you should upgrade, maybe you should upgrade. And yes, there is an upgrade to full account on the top left, but it's not, like, taking over my screen. And I appreciate that.
Ooh, see that is an important thing to say, actually, if you've never played this before, because I've only played it for a very, very short period of time. And actually someone else just said, Aurea Spira in chat said, as a WoW veteran, this is very good to hear, coming into Guild Wars 2 at launch blew my mind. From a game that rewards selfish behavior to one where everything is built around helping others was so amazing. I was sold. That was really that's an awesome thing to say. That's good. Oh, welcome.
Especially like mining ore and things like that. Like if you go from WoW to this, it's such a positive.
So true. Imagine playing like.
I was just going to touch on that. There are so many ways to gain experience, and it's not just completing dynamic events or hearts or killing creatures. It's also gathering. It's exploring points of interest. It's completing a mini dungeon. It's completing vistas and crafting, and there are so many ways for you to gain experience over time. So the leveling, I think as veterans, we think it's super quickly, but I have gone back and played, and it's not super long, but I feel like it's just at the right place to feel like you're spending time in the game while also progressing at a decent rate.
You have to like actively try not to get experience in this game to not get experience. Because pretty much everything gives you experience. Hey, there's a rock drake broodmother to take care of over here.
Coming over.
I don't have gliding. Oh my god.
Yeah. So what's that like as well? I mean, because like, you know, movement and stuff like. I mean, there's a few things to talk about now as well. So there's no gliding, but vistas. So vistas aren't really a thing in many MMORPGs at the moment. Like, well, I guess more so, maybe a little bit more so now. Did anyone else like take screenshots of vistas?
I take screenshots of every vista that I visit the first time.
Yes, same.
Do we still get vistas in our living world maps?
Yes. Not as many.
Not as many, yeah.
But we do.
Also, Jebitha, come here. As many PvP players would love to tell you, we need to learn to dodge.
Ooh.
Learn to dodge, Jebitha.
As soon as you come to this part, then okay, cool. So let's talk about the Vista very, very quickly as well. Is that cool? Is that cool experience? Did anyone like kind of experience that in other games beforehand, or?
Dodge rolling?
Vistas, sorry. I'm trying to go through order of like encountering things.
No.
Didn't think anything.
It's more like you're over a cliff and you see like a town or something over a mountain hill. It's like looks beautiful. You don't really have a cinematic view of it.
Yeah. I wonder if you appreciate it more if you just find a lovely place that doesn't have a vista versus being told, hey, come here, look at this.
That's a good point, I guess. I like him because of that other perspective, which I think Adrian is saying as well, like that camera angle that, I mean, you could probably get now if you're first person, maybe gliding, but not as like smooth as that, right? I like vistas. I do. I definitely, especially that beginning. I'm like you. I took screenshots of every single vista. I don't know if I can remember where all my PC hard drives are to get them all. But like, yeah, I like vistas.
I think since I'm level 5, I can do downstate now.
Oh, you lucky bum.
I'll try 1 second.
Vistas making motion sick. That's interesting. I've heard that before, actually. I've heard that before as well. Okay, let's talk about the dodge then, because this is a really important thing. So it's good that they added this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
important thing. Dodge to avoid danger by pressing the V key or by double tapping a movement key. While dodging, you're temporarily invulnerable. The yellow endurance bar above the health drains with each dodge, but it will recover over time. Ta-da! And then you dodge. Big pressure now. Oh, got it. Got to the loot. So you get some loot. I love that. You get rewarded for dodging. It's like you're a dog or something. It's like, here's your treat. Well done. Press F. Good job.
Someone was nice and actually killed the worms.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Oh, also, so if there's any new players in chat, please ask all your questions.
Yes.
Because this is the time for new player talking, right?
For sure.
Answer all the new player questions in this.
Absolutely. Also, there we go. So you get some loot and you get some achievements as well, and that's cool. And then we're gonna just dodge out. Beautiful. We can get rid of that. So it does teach you about dodging specifically. It doesn't, but that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one time you learn about dodging. I feel like that could be a little bit more. I feel like they could put you against an NPC or something and maybe like have some dodges. I don't know if anyone's played the played Elder Scrolls Online, the tutorial.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is very good. Like the tutorial, it might be a bit long actually. And the other side of the kind of things, but it teaches you how to block. It teaches you about about fields, about comboing up, which is different because you actually press buttons to do that. It teaches you about heavy light attacks. It teaches you all of the combat mechanics in an instant before you even start really getting into the game, but it ties it in a little bit with the story. It's different now because they've just brought out an expansion specifically where they've just changed the brand new player experience of getting into. So it's always going to be the tutorial is always going to remain the same, whereas previously it was like according to different chapters and stuff. They've changed it, but it's very good, and it's kind of what I would kind of hope for from Guild Wars 2, maybe an instance at the beginning. But I kind of like how you get into the map and get into the, I don't know, I guess get into things
I think the instance could feel a little longer though.
I am now in downstate.
Oh,
hey,
no.
level 5 does unlock.
Please help me.
Nice.
Okay,
Please
I'm
help
on
me.
my way. Don't worry.
My 2 and 3 skills are locked. Please help
I'm
me.
gonna do for you as you did for me.
Just because you can't even heal, right? Yeah.
Oh, you noticed that, didn't you?
I did. I did. I laugh at your dead body.
But I agree that if the new player experience had an area where you had to break down a gate or some obstacles and it had a break bar to kind of just show players a little bit more about crowd control. Now, of course, when you're starting out, you don't have those crowd control abilities, but there are environmental weapons in the game like boulders. So if we had to, say, in the new player instance, grab a boulder to break a break bar to progress or to fight a boss, that could at least be some way to showcase break bars, because I know a lot of people have focused around the conversation about teaching new players the CC mechanic.
Yeah. So break bars specifically, you're saying, and like maybe just what, like in an event like this, maybe? Because I guess
like in the instance when you're fighting that giant boss, like when you have to. I would like
only have one skill though.
No, that's what I'm saying. There are environmental weapons like boulders, so perhaps
true.
In the instance, in the very beginning, when you're fighting like what we just did, where we have to fight the ghosts, you have to get through to the crypt or something, but you have to break the gate down with like a boulder and like start chunking down that break bar.
But would people attribute that to you need environmental stuff to break the bar rather than your skills?
Not necessarily. You could just have like a pop-up that says like crowd control abilities on your character and some environmental weapons, affect break bars. They were trying to do more with the crowd control information. They were going to be adding a purple indicator and purple text on crowd control skills, but they ended up not doing that. I'm not exactly sure why, possibly just for like clarity of like how the tooltips look.
Right.
But having something either in the instance or later on around like level 10 or something when you have more skills could be interesting.
I think that would be cool because there is a big thing later on, I guess. I feel like, you know, a lot of stuff. How much? I mean, this is the question, isn't it? Like, how much should the game tell you, and how much should you find out for yourself naturally through like the aha moments that you have in video games, where you're like, oh, and you like feel rewarded in just knowing that extra thing, where you're like, oh, I feel like I've found out a secret or something. And I know that's might sound a bit ridiculous to us, but like those moments are actually pretty cool in games. You know, when you find something, it's like I feel like God of War just popped into my head for a reason, but like the combat, when you can combo different things up and you can use different abilities, and just like, whoa, I didn't know that, and I've just found out this thing. Like, how is it important that you have those moments versus knowing how, like, specific mechanics, like, you know, a break bar? Like, should you know that thing, or is it like okay to just learn these things in fights? Like, how do you feel? How does anyone feel about that kind of thing?
You should know break bars. I think that is such a staple mechanic to the gameplay encounter in terms of crowd control abilities in general, because, you know, traits and other skills have benefits from that. But when you start going into boss fights, like in dungeons and in other areas, if you're like are in a party with like 2 of your friends and your new players, you have no idea what that break bar is, especially if it's a phase that is reliant on you breaking that break bar so you don't receive a large attack. I think break bars in general are never really explained, which is a little, I don't even think they're on the new player experience. They might be on like the web pages. They might be going into detail on those areas, but I've never seen like at least anything on break bars, and I think there should be something.
All right. Fair.
I'll make another video finally.
Yeah.
I know there's definitely, I mean, obviously there are definitely videos out there, but like, yeah, go and make a video. Do it now. Like, it's just new players, like more. Like,
I'll see you guys in a minute.
Yeah. They're off, they're both off now. But there's definitely things like, you know, it's like PvP, for example. Like, I've got loads of ideas for like new player stuff where you're just like, there is so many people coming into the game now. Like, this is a really, really good time, especially with the expansion as well. And I feel like the expansion is going to be too late, but they can start chunking out this information to new players now, because like they've got well, you know, we talk about World of Warcraft refugees, but the amount of people who are leaving that game right now and have done in the last month is ridiculous. Like, I don't know, Final Fantasy's numbers sub-wise, like they've taken over World of Warcraft, right? And I think there's less than 1.5 or 1 million now subs on WoW, like estimates wise. And I know obviously that's an estimate, but like, I mean, this is the time to be doing that kind of stuff, isn't it? Or like, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I agree though, not everything needs to be explained, but I think there are certain categories that should be better explained.
Yeah, like I don't think combos. I don't think combos should be a secret. I don't think break bars should be a secret. Yeah, those are the 2 things that I think are lacking currently.
What about boons?
What about boons?
What about boons?
I think this goes into a whole greater topic, but I actually now that we've been able to play this game for 9 years, it is disappointing not seeing more boon and condition application from enemies in general. And this even continues into expansions, and I hope they continue to allow enemies to have those features of the gameplay where you have boons and you have conditions being applied on enemies, because really the only place that is really highlighted is in PvP and World versus World.
Right.
And it is a really fun and interesting area of the combat that I don't think is necessarily honed in on, especially at the beginning.
Do you think that I'm just wondering about how much condition damage they had at the beginning of the game. I mean, they do, don't they, really?
Not really.
Not so much, but to at least expose players to where like you will find more enemies that have just like a stack of might on themselves, or like a little stack of regen, or they apply to bleed. It's in the game, but I would just like to see a little bit more as a personal side.
I feel like in Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire, conditions are definitely more focused on than they are in the core game.
Yeah.
I feel like they're definitely present, but maybe not as much. I think, like, you know, And I don't know if that's like I wonder if that's like because of so many people, because there are weaknesses in classes in terms of condition removal, like, you know, NG early, like core NG, like condition removal is not good. Like it's good, you've got a couple of skills, other than that, like, you know, traits later on in the game, like core game, you're gonna kind of get those going. But I don't know, maybe condition removal, maybe they felt like it was too difficult to understand or something, or it was more specific to yourself.
Not necessarily condi removal, just like having them present.
I mean, sorry, yeah, them giving so enemies on you.
It's true. A good way to teach new players about conditions and possibly boons would be for them to appear more prevalently. Like boons, I wonder at what point in the game do you recognize that having 25 stacks of might is a very, very good thing.
Yeah,
quickness,
exactly.
I think, is very. I think quickness is pretty obvious, right? Like as soon as you get a skill that gives you quickness, you're like, holy shit, I just want more of this. I want to have this all the time. But might, I'm not so sure about it.
Do you think like? Sorry,
I don't think it's super important to know about like boons stacking right away.
Yeah.
Because like again, you don't want to overload new players with all the information, but like if you go into like the first zone of any new map and their meta event, like Shadow Behemoth in Queensdale, like you're not really thinking about stacking might. I think the idea there is just like, oh, this is a big event, and as a new player you get to experience that right off the rip. I think that's what they are going for, rather than just explaining all these different things. I feel like that's a thing you can learn over time if it's important, and I don't think in open world PvE it's that important, because if you're gonna get people who know how to play the game, they're gonna give you might probably, or things like that. And if you really wanted to hone your build, you would probably do the research. I
guess the question is, when is it important to know this?
I think for raids, I think for World vs. World.
I think you got to know a little bit before raids.
You don't think? Yeah, I was gonna say.
That's the problem. I was gonna say. It's like you don't. The purpose of teaching is not just to give or allow veteran players to give new players these benefits. It should be that they themselves are understanding how to gain them themselves and apply it to either, you know, their other friends.
Interesting.
Because not every MMO is going to teach you everything, right?
That's
like,
right.
No MMO is going to teach you everything about everything.
I think I kind of agree with what you're saying, Age, but at the same time, I'm like, boons are a big thing in the game. They were a big thing, and you don't have boons in other, like boons aren't a thing in other games. They're more of just like statuses, right? Like where you've got the little, it says, you know, you are empowered for 10 seconds or you are this for 10 seconds. But like,
I would think when you're choosing traits, you would see like different things. Like you would gain 5 stacks of might if when you trigger this condition. It's like, oh, what is might?
It does explain it there. That's true.
You'd hope.
I mean, it does explain it in your tooltips and everything else. Like if you look over, like where you hopefully most people do that. Like Elixir H, for example, I've got as my heal, and it does like on tooltips as long as you got to turn them on, which I always have anyway. Like protection, regen, swiftness, it tells you what it does. You know, it does that heal over 4 seconds. It gives you 33% movement speed over 4 seconds, exactly. The swiftness and everything else. It does kind of tell you, but you do have to go and find it.
Yeah,
and I guess they can't like be more specific about certain things, like precision being 15 or 21 to 1%, because that scales with your level too, right? So in your leveling experience, they can't say, hey, precision is this conversion rate, because depending on what level you are, it's different.
But when the option to hide the tooltip.
Well, yeah, the reason I bring up, like, if you're looking at your traits, you open up your menu and you're choosing traits, you kind of want to choose things that benefit your playstyle. So you would kind of just read those rather than the tooltips. But
I think Age did mention around like level 30 during traits. I think that would probably be an interesting area. I don't think boons and conditions are necessarily hard to understand because they gradually come in.
Yeah.
But I would say interacting with them in a fight, especially against enemies. Because if you go from PvE to PvP, it is a whole different ballgame in terms of the amount of gameplay features that are present, from CC to all the boons of stability, to vulnerability, to quickness, fury, all that stuff. So I think by at least allowing enemies to have them on themselves and apply those gameplay features and functions, it would allow people to gradually be like, oh, I already understand what boons are. I already understand what conditions are. So now that when I'm going into higher level content, or I choose to go to PvP or War versus World, I won't be like, okay, how do I get rid of all these things? What do all these things do? I don't know. I feel like just in terms of overall gameplay as well, it'd be a little bit more interesting as a leveling experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm just dipping into this other area. Actually, something I noticed when I was I was buying, like I said, in terms of like, you know, there's achievements for buying stuff off of the heart vendors. I just found some of them. So like you actually got an achievement for buying XP food and for buying like extra power items. Like I just bought, so for example, like maybe they could be a little bit, I'm not sure how, you know, useful this is again. But I just got like a tiny sharpening stone. So gain power equal to 1% of your precision, and get an experience 10% experience from kills. So I've got my utility there. I just used it and I got 5 achievement points. I'm not sure if you haven't got these achievements in the game. That's 5 achievement points for just doing that. So you know, you might want to go and level up to level 10 and get some of these, because I'm going to do that later.
So I would say one thing about Guild Wars 2 that is not great for a new player is the amount of stuff that you get in your inventory. Yeah. I like it because I'm a loot whore. I just love looting things and taking it.
So do most MMORPG players though, don't they?
They do. Probably. But the issue is you get so much stuff and not a lot of it's useful. Like, for instance, I think a good change could be, if they ever do change things, is get rid of some junk items. Because as a new player, you get these junk items or these trophies, and you're not really sure what to do with them. And yes, you eventually learn you could just vendor them, but I have a feeling that it would be much nicer for new players just to get the flat silver or gold or copper than having to have a full inventory of stuff they don't want. Because a lot of the other items they get that fill up their inventory, boxes upon boxes of stuff, is going to be stuff they're just going to want to vendor anyway. So they don't need junk on top of that.
I noticed, if anything, with the new player experience where they implemented those achievement collections, my inventory is filled with armor pieces.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they would, it feels like my inventory is always filled with like either like armor pieces in terms of like chest items, gloves. I agree. The inventory is a little strange at the very beginning.
For me, it's still getting filled up way too quickly. At level 80, I'm constantly filled with junk, and I'd love to do a little tidy every day or so, because it fills up in a day.
Do you reckon there could be more vendors around for like players early on, or like heart, because you have to unlock the heart, right, to actually go and sell that stuff? Because otherwise, if I look at my map right now, the only vendor I see other than hearts is probably in the small, maybe over here. Actually, I didn't even unlock that waypoint over there. But like maybe over back by the base. That's actually good, but more vendors might actually be helpful. I feel like
all those items that you get from leveling that you can't vendor is a little annoying. Or you can't
selling, like getting the salvage kits. I mean, we haven't got one right yet.
Not yet, but there's a lot of items that you can't salvage from leveling, and that's a little confusing for people as well.
I think salvage kits should be given as a level up reward a little sooner.
Yeah, but Boots said, you can't actually salvage a lot of stuff as well.
Yeah,
I think that in particular could be changed, where a lot of them are just like not salvageable. And that is so strange.
I know why, though.
There must have been a reason back in the day. Like, probably they didn't want people to just create new characters over and over again to get their materials, rather than do something else, like actually play the game. But geez, I don't know. Like, I don't think it's necessary anymore.
with the materials, yeah, just don't make those materials, you know, necessary for things, you know, that you can literally, you know, because I know if you hit like what's the kind of sweet point, isn't it like level 54 or something, 53 or like low 50s where you can get some really good, like that's where a lot of the higher price like materials are, or it used to be. Like if you have characters around that level, but then they'll be leveling if they're attacking stuff anyway, so
yeah,
I don't know. Interesting. Swap weapons, because we're gonna have that soon, although I don't need it because I haven't got any utilities and I don't have any flipping weapon swap. Although I do out of combat, I guess. Forgot about that. Now you do as engineer. That's good.
Congratulations.
Wow. Thank you very much. That's massively changed my leveling experience. That's actually maybe why they put that in, actually. Do you think that's a reason? Because like NG leveling experience is, I mean, actually isn't been too bad, because I remember it being a lot worse because just having a pistol wasn't massively that fun. Because it was just like, I'm shooting a pistol and that's kind of it. But like maybe having that weapon swap as you go up, like being able to switch over to a rifle out of combat. I don't know if that was a thing they did thought about, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. As soon as you get kits, though, pretty good as an engineer.
Oh yeah, I love it. Like as soon as you get kits, it becomes like, it just opens it up a lot more, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. The one thing and just to note is that as well, I've opened up my map, not much. This is what I like about Guild Wars 2. There's no quests telling you where to go, right? Until level 10. So what we're doing right now is we're just wandering about. And that's fine.
So you like that, but
yeah,
do you think there are some people who come into Guild Wars 2, don't really have a direction, just have a bunch of things going on for the first 10 levels, and are like, what am I supposed to be doing? Do they just want me to wander around? I don't like this.
But that's what I felt like when I first played it. But not the like, you know, I wasn't sad about that. So you saying that there are people that, I mean, who are these people? Obviously there are people.
I will say it does feel a little vacant. Like there's not really a consistent through line as to why I'm doing these things. You really have to go out of your way to talk to those heart vendors, but because they're not needed, once you realize that you don't have to go up and talk to them, you lose out on a sense of reason, and it almost feels like you're just going around and completing these things. So maybe, I know in the later maps, in expansions, the maps are very narrative focused, and there's a lot of voiceover, there's a lot of story being told in those maps. But for the early maps and the mid-level maps, it does feel kind of like you're just wandering and getting these things without really feeling connected to the map.
So sorry, go on.
I have a different perspective since I was like a Guild Wars 1 player. So I kind of know the lore behind the maps. I kind of like know why these Ascalon ghosts are here, that type of deal. So I guess it's different for me when I first started.
Yeah, for sure.
Ah, okay. So you're saying like because you played the previous game, you actually already knew a lot about the lore in the area. So like this was actually quite meaningful to see this next stage of like, you know, and the fact of like even just playing a chart, right? Like because they were just depicted as not goodies.
Right. So I guess as when it first came out, Guild Wars 2, I'm sure that they thought about that and were like, okay, we could depend on all the Guild Wars 1 players buying this game and trying it out, and they'll be able to appreciate this. But nowadays, like anybody picking up Guild Wars 2 hasn't played Guild Wars 1 probably for the first time, right?
No.
Like if you're picking up Guild Wars 2 for the first time now, you're a new player, there's no way you played Guild Wars 1.
More often than not, no, yeah, probably. Might be surprised by how many people played it, I guess, but I think you're right. They probably would have played it by now if they played the first one.
Yeah.
It's very
true.
true.
Do you guys think that when maybe a couple expansions down the line, they will kind of do something similar to like World of Warcraft Cataclysm, where they go back and really revamp the existing maps and the starter zones and brush things up a bit? Because now that we're kind of talking about it, I would love to have at least more voice lines and narrative around these camps of Ascalonian ghosts and really getting into why the Char are repelling them in this area. What are they doing here? All that stuff.
I don't think so. I'm just thinking from a purely development standpoint.
Yeah, it's not worth it,
because
right?
It just takes time away from stuff that new stuff that they could be doing.
Yeah, it's a great idea, Kriv. To be fair, like I would love that kind of stuff in the game, but I feel like it's just
it's crazy. It's crazy that right now, because of what's happening in other in the MMO scene in general, there is going to be, and the fact that EOD is going to be coming out relatively soon, there's going to be an influx of new players into Guild Wars 2, like a huge influx compared to other times. But they can't spend time considering what they should do to help that because of the fact that they're working on End of Dragons. Like they probably are going to devote some time to thinking about all the new players coming in, but really their focus is definitely End of Dragons right now.
Maybe in the future, you never know. What I would like them to do is I mean, how long did it take for World of War? I mean, this is way off the scope of actually, so maybe I won't talk about it. I was just thinking about Guild Wars 2 Classic. I guess you can get
Guild
that experience.
No way.
I mean, if that was going to happen, it would be a future thing. You never know. It'd be a very future thing. Well, if they ever could, and the only way they could reintroduce like everything that happened in terms of just like the season 1 stuff and like how that was played, like I'd play that anyway. It doesn't matter.
Oh yeah. If you introduce season 1 again, I could see that happening, but it's not as Guild Wars 1. Like you're not gonna reintroduce the core story for some reason, right?
Not from Guild Wars 1.
Oh, from Guild Wars. Okay. Yeah.
Like Guild Wars 2. Yeah. No. Not Guild Wars 1. No. Okay, so let's think about what else there is in this kind of experience. I guess we're getting closer to level 10, but we're also kind of getting to the space where we should think about what else we really need to talk about. So we haven't got towards dungeons. So at the moment, as a Guild Wars 2 player, a brand new player, you've got hearts. That's your leveling up to level 10, and exploration, right? And events. Like what else are we doing? I guess you've got PvP as well, which we are gonna dip into towards the end of this and just see where we can go in terms of world v world. So I can't press the world v world key, and it's not actually available, and this feature unlocks at level 60. Interesting, actually. Really? Can you not go through the portals or anything?
They probably have the portals locked off.
Yeah.
So is that on the free account? Like, I don't know if anyone in chat is a new player and has bought the account and stuff as well, because I feel like that might be a new player free account thing, because I'm pretty sure in the base core game, if you've got it unlocked, you can go in there pretty early.
Yeah.
I wonder what level that is then, if you actually own an account, and why they decided level 60.
I think if you own the account, you can go into PvP or World versus World from the jump, similar to how it was back in the day.
I think it's to prevent sniping other world.
Oh, sniping. Yeah, good point. Very good point.
Also important during World versus World seasons back in the day, because you could, like create an account to lock up the queue for an opposing server.
Wow.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. That link is good. Thank you, Rita, for geeking it.
Would alliances change that? Do you think alliances would allow World versus World to be unlocked at an earlier level for?
Or for free accounts? I don't think they changed that. Oh no, actually, yeah. You won't be able to access, right?
Because you're not tied down to a specific world. You're basically tied to a matchup. So.
Healthy and hale.
And in a specific guild, right? Alliance specifically.
I still think it'd be wise to lock it behind a level. Maybe not 60. 60 feels like a pretty long journey.
Actually,
maybe 25 or 30.
Well, alliances as well. You're going to be locked into a matchup, aren't you? So I'm wondering if you can even come into that matchup halfway through, and what you need to do to be involved.
So if you're a solo player, you just get put onto a matchup, if I recall.
Is that if the matchups? I'm not sure if they've talked about the. Like if it's already begun though, and you're a new player, maybe. I guess then maybe that's the same thing. Maybe.
There is a lot about alliances that we don't know about right now, actually.
That's a different conversation. Oh my good lord, I'm versus a champion. I just realized, and it's lost 4% health, and I need to run.
Where are you at?
Oh my god.
Oh, I'm nowhere near you guys. I ran back to the
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Bro, break the bar.
Challenging Guild Wars 2 content. Oh! I'm dead. I'm gonna die. Revive.
Oh my goodness.
Save me. Oh no, I've not got 2 or 3. What?
Like, this is what I want to see. I have felt that Guild, I mean, this, of course, I cannot escape my lived experience of playing the game for 9 years. So I inherently know how to play the game, and I feel like I have a good understanding of it. But with that said, from my perspective, it feels like sometimes it's not as difficult as I would like it, especially when you look at Guild Wars.
Come over and fight this jump.
Levels,
I'm getting wrecked.
So this is what I would love to see more of, like these champion events occurring more often.
Okay, well I'm level 6 and I'm gonna probably die. They keep spawning these bloody things. I've got hardly any skills, that's true. Oh, my first combo failed. Ew.
Oh no.
That felt good.
Big water Ellie vibes.
Yeah, bring it out.
Oh, I was so close to breaking.
I've got 12 skill. I've got 12 seconds.
Oh, it's Balthazar's champion. It's
oh no,
like
go.
The bad Balthazar.
Oh, Balthazar.
was there a good Balthazar?
I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Poison. Alright, save your CCs, save your CCs.
Yes, finding it boring. I agree, sir. Like, I feel like there should... That's one reason why I would love more boons, more conditions, more actual AoE fields to dodge out of early game to kind of better represent what Guild Wars 2 is like at later levels.
Oh, is open world is difficult anyway though, Kroof, I guess. I mean,
in certain areas, I think baseline I would love to find more difficulty in the open worlds just as a general thing, but when you compare the open world experience from Guild Wars 2 to Heart of Thorns I think is extremely difficult when you compare the two. Oh yeah,
especially if you're a new player.
I think Heart of Thorns could be a little bit more difficult. I honestly love the difficulty, but I think it's enough time has passed where I would like to see some more challenge in the core maps.
I know, like when Heart of Thorns came out for the very first time, a lot of people complained it was very hard. And it was very limiting in terms of exploration. So they did fix that. I'm wondering if how much they could add to help players understand the combat a little bit faster, but not make them feel like they're being overwhelmed at the same time.
I also think we have to consider the level range. I don't think a lot of these things that I'm saying about like improving the combat and maybe increasing difficulty, it doesn't have to come anywhere until probably like level 50, 60, 70.
Yeah.
Because you still have a chunk of levels to get to, at least in PvE, to get to those expansion zones.
The 50, 60 zones do have quite a bit of NPCs that have AoEs and stuff, right? Like Farheart, right?
Oh, what's level 50, 60? Yeah, more like, I'm thinking like Norn zones. I remember there was. Oh no, 50, 60 isn't Norn, is it? It's past there. It's like
Iron Marches.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's some difficulty around there, kind of. But I think the real zone I remember.
A difficult one.
The difficulty I remember. Is like probably. I would say, or even maybe, I can't remember. It's Straight to Devastation. I can't remember. No, Sparkfly Fen. There you go. That was. From then onwards is a little bit more difficult. I think Mount Maelstrom has had some moments maybe at times. It could just depend on the class you played as well a lot of the time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Early on.
If you play Necro, you will never die, so.
I think it just depended on like how, I mean, and the thing is like, what's challenge too many of us?
I just wandered into level 15 area.
Cool. How easy was that to do when you're running around? How did it hurt?
Very, very easy. I just walked down a little slope and now I'm dead.
You walk around dead.
And look at this though too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. These earth elementals down here, go click on them. Don't come down because you'll die, but click on an earth elemental and look at the buffs it has.
I'm way away from you, I think. Should I tell you, I would love some flipping mining tools right now. Like I keep saying,
no. The siege crystal?
Yeah, it's by the siege crystal, which, by the way, looks a lot like a Kralkator crystal, even though it's definitely not.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I remember that, seeing that early on. Actually,
That's
really good. Enjoying this.
That's a Guild Wars 1 tie-in.
That's true. That
Here is exactly what I would like to see changed. Well, I love that they actually have their combat information underneath their health bar.
Yeah, but look at the thing underneath that.
But the buff of just stability cannot be killed, crippled, knocked down, launched, or pushed back. Shield is interesting.
Uh-oh. Why did I go down here?
I think that's original stability.
Wait, what?
I think that could be changed just to be the boon. And I think that is one... That's
a relic right there.
It's a relic, but I think that should be ironed out. I think these things... which are relics should be ironed out.
They just haven't updated that.
Better represent.
Well, that's supposed to be a break bar, probably.
Like that would be really cool if it was just the Earth Elemental pulses stability on itself every 3 seconds to at least familiarize the player with, like, oh, that is stability. I cannot knock it down.
That would be cool. But whatever the design of the thing is right now is it's supposed to be a break bar, I think.
What the
or you have like a veteran with a break bar. Also, that's another thing. End of Dragons. As the enemies scale, they'll have new features and new weapons and new skills to use.
I used to see and knocked it off.
Would be awesome if they went back and did a bunch of that stuff with the core maps. But I don't think they'll do that.
I mean, that stability bar, like you said as well, it is a break bar. But it's one. It's just one stack of stability. So you'd CC it and it knocked off straight away.
Is that can you CC that guy? I don't think you can. I think he literally is unCCable.
The mob I just hit, I did my... Well, he didn't do anything other than knocking the stability stack off.
I got crippled without the cripple effect. That's weird.
So if you go up to this guy, go up to this mob here, this veteran F person. Like, I'm gonna use my shield knockback now, and this stability stack's
I picked it up. So it's literally stability with an extra effect of immune to chill. But
can you knock him down? Can anyone knock it? I can't. I haven't got any monsters.
They should probably just like switch that to the boon icon. Just
why is that still there? Is the
that's
so cool.
I don't feel if we're gonna kill him before again, but like that's interesting.
Yeah, that essentially functions as a boon.
It's just one stack. Yeah.
If it was pulsing, like over duration and a consistent interaction, that'd make it a slightly interesting fight.
That's interesting that it's still there. Huh, funny.
It's hilarious that relic is still in there.
Yeah, that's the and the actual marker as well. Did we get a lot of kill experience?
I love seeing the old Defiance icon as well, like the bird on certain enemies and bosses. It's like, memories.
There you go. Good times. Well, there you go, everyone. There you go in chat. I know what you're talking about in terms of the loot because my bag is full. This is a big issue. Ow. Good lord. I've got an upgrade slot. I can't do much with that. So at this point, but maybe is it a natural point in time where I'm supposed to be going back anyway? Maybe to a base? I don't know. There is a vista up there though as well. What level is the first dungeon? Is it 15?
No,
it's 30.
It's 30. Okay, we're definitely not.
That's actually a topic that I want to talk about. Oh, also, hey, Kurz.
It's true.
Defiance is, well, there was an old version of Defiance where on bosses you'd be able to CC them once and then they'd have like stacks of Defiance to where they wouldn't be able to get CC'd again.
Yeah.
But now they've been replaced with a break bar, which is also called like a Defiance bar, some people call it.
Yeah.
But essentially you just like CC a bunch of times to lower the bar and then they're controlled for a bit.
And then they get it back again. But now Defiance is still a buff in the game, but it's used primarily for story things where you're not supposed to be able to kill something, and it's not just immune to CC, it's immune to everything essentially.
Yeah.
Or Defiance.
Oh. Revives are open achievement.
So that's going back to the dungeons thing. That is maybe one thing I maybe want to talk about a little bit is the PvE group content through leveling, because I've been playing Bless Unleashed recently, and Bless Unleashed has really strong PvE instance content as you level. You gain 2v2 dungeon boss fights.
That's good. I've played that.
Like every 2 levels or so. It's very consistent.
And they're challenging, right?
Yeah, and they can be pretty challenging. The thing with Guild Wars 2 is that you have to wait till level 30 to get your first taste of a dungeon.
Let's talk about that. Well, how's that make you feel, Kroof? How's that make you feel? There's the counselor question there, right?
Now that I've been playing that Bless Unleashed and just thinking about it right now, I think instance content such as dungeons are really important as you level. And I think because they're so spaced out, they don't really hook people. A new player would have to get to level 30 to experience that style of content. So maybe if it was a little bit more spaced out over time, that would have been maybe a better decision. Like the first story instance unlocks at level 15, another explorable path opens at 20, the second explorable path opens at 25, and the third explorable path opens at 30 or something.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? I can't remember if I ever was wondering about that. I feel like I was wondering about dungeons a lot early on because I do like myself some dungeon content, that's for sure. That's very true, actually. So what is it? And someone else, I hope I just mentioned something very important in chat as well, which I completely forgot and didn't even change myself at all. But let's talk about the dungeon thing. So like, is it important to have dungeons early on? I feel like a lot of MMOs also, I know ESO gets you into dungeons pretty quick because like dungeons are a big part of the content in that game. But like you were saying, Bless Unleashed, it's not as early probably as an ESO maybe, but like it's still quite early, like mini instances, like even just a little baby one is pretty cool.
Your first one at level 5 is pretty early.
Right. And then like I know early on like you have single player instances which you can do for like loot and like that classic dungeon kind of experience. So do we think like, I don't know, Age, did you miss having dungeons and stuff when you first played Guild Wars 2?
So I came from Guild Wars 1, which did have dungeons, and I just had them in Guild Wars 2, which is like cool. When they transitioned to fractals, I was one of the people who liked dungeons more just because it was more ingrained to what I was used to.
Yeah.
But I got behind the idea of fractals because it provides more flexibility in terms of storytelling, because Fractals of the Mist is just this sandbox where you can tell any story from any time period, which is really good for the game. So you can just constantly add fractal and fractal over time.
But that's definitely not like you can't do that early on though, right? So like, how do you feel like about that being less of an experience early on? Because like you say, you like fractals, right? But you can't do fractals until you hit 8.
Yeah, I'm not overly sad about it, because if I think about like when I started playing New World, that experience, I didn't really do a dungeon yet in the beta. And there were dungeons there was a dungeon available. I just didn't choose to do that because I chose more of exploration and leveling and things like that. I guess if you are like a dungeon type of player, you would want to experience it just to see what it's like, to see if you would continue playing the game.
Yeah.
So I guess earlier on, like Crew said, like earlier levels and then more paths later on would be a good way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, that might be a good idea. I think it's interesting. I think there's so much new and different stuff that maybe to a degree you might be okay, but I think players might be looking for that dungeon stuff. And just an important note as well, I'm like talking about loot. I hope it's mentioned something in chat. And I literally didn't do it. Like, and I've been playing this game for so long, is that you can literally pick your stats on the gear that you've been getting, and I haven't been doing it. I've just equipped the gear. I just equipped it. I didn't even go for stats. I didn't customize it once. And the funny thing is that yes, you can sell the loot as long as you don't customize the stats. So that's one thing to remember. Like, that's a really big new player tip to make money, because you are getting so much loot. A lot of this is actually duplicated as well. So like, you could make a little bit more money leveling up if you just weren't focused on like always upgrading your gear, I guess. But it's not much money, but it's more money than you'd have if you didn't, I suppose. But that's interesting because I just customized the stats on something and I can't sell it anymore. So that is very interesting.
I couldn't some of my gear I didn't actually customize and I couldn't sell it.
I don't think you could sell it even if you didn't customize.
I did. I sold a pair of shoes just now, yeah.
Was that from your level up thing, or
I mean, I can't remember which way. I mean, I could sell it and it was low level. Maybe it was a pickup. It must have been a pickup then.
I think so.
Let me try and sell this gear then.
But I think that's one thing that should at least be highlighted because we are getting more gear because of the new changes, to highlight that you can customize blank slotted gear.
So I have seen, again, in a new level experience, I saw someone like level 10 or higher with a pop-up that said you have unselected, uncustomized things. Go into your hero panel and customize it with a little exclamation mark over their hero panel button. But for some reason it's not on right now, even though I definitely have uncustomized stuff on right now.
So you're right as well, by the way, that it is the loot. Like, you can't, it's not the loot from the story. I must have just picked up that thing. It was just literally an identical piece of gear. So you're right about that. So I'm sad now. But still, at least generally, at least be happy. At least generally though, like you can, you like having that, and you're right. Like, I don't know where that is. Like normally you do have that coming up. I thought the whole thing of like, you know, you need to customize this, but that's like traits and stuff, right? Normally.
But I guess maybe that only starts at like level 10 when it's like, okay, now please actually have gear on.
Yeah, we've got to this point now where we need you to do this.
Yeah, because like you've been playing without it and you didn't really feel the difference, right? So
and you really will now. Like I guess if you want to make the game difficult, don't customize your gear, because you couldn't they didn't bring customization in massively until like you could customize legendaries, right? Or was it before that? I can't remember.
I think
legendaries were kind of like the only place you could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe there were some other small areas where you could.
By the way, guys, I probably gotta stop at around 6 my time, so in
15 minutes or so,
something like that, because I've got a dinner plans.
That's okay. We're gonna do that.
You didn't invite us?
Sorry. I mean, we've kind of gotten to the main nitty-gritty of like, we've leveled up to level 7. I think that's like new player area. There's a lot more to go, and we can save these characters and go for it another time for sure.
I'm gonna save this character. I've actually really enjoyed
I have as well.
Through.
I have, and I think I might actually do it as an experience on stream. I'm definitely going to go and try and definitely play some of the content limited more to the core stuff, because even when you're leveling up, you've got that passive experience bonus that you've got from your account, right?
Wow.
And all these passive things. I do wish there was a lock or some kind of feature in your core game or in the Guild Wars 2, like even if you got the latest expansion, where you could just be like core experience and remove like account bonuses and stuff. I would love
what about
that.
Mounts? How do we feel about mounts impacting the new player experience?
What do you mean?
I mean, you can't access them. Do you mean seeing them?
Well, if you happen to purchase the expansions and start, and you get your mount.
I mean, that's a conscious choice that the person makes.
That's very conscious, isn't it?
Yeah, but should that be up to choice, or should that be barred behind a level 80 character?
Oh, well, you do. I mean, that's, again, it is barred behind a level 80 character, but
you can be level 2.
You can make a choice to boost yourself to 80.
I mean, well, no, you can actually get mounts at level 2 if you go into Path of Fire and go and get the
from a friend.
Raptor.
Yeah, somebody else that you know, a friend of yours brings you on their thing.
But like you know, that's a very conscious process of doing that. But are you saying, Kroof, that maybe, you know, specifically making sure you definitely can't get that unless you're level 80?
Like even on my core account, leveling a new character, the leveling experience and the core experience is forever changed because of masteries like gliding and the mounts.
Yeah.
And part of me like misses that old experience of like having that original leveling.
I mean, you don't have to.
You don't have to, obviously. It's not a thing that.
But being forced to not be like that. I mean,
in the similar vein of like reducing your XP passive increase and
that could be part of it, right? Why not have that button? Like, give me core. Like, just go, just have like a hardcore button in the bottom right.
They're gonna be launching Guild Wars 2 Classic next year.
I would honestly.
They could toggle the ability to, because I mean, I don't think you can right now. They could make it a toggleable thing where you could press a button and your glider no longer automatically deploys when you're holding space jumping off a cliff.
Yeah, because that's really automatic, isn't it now? Like, I mean, how many times have we must have all done that by now.
Yeah,
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah, you could make it so that it's an actual toggle, your glider.
Yeah.
You could choose not to have it on if you want to.
That's true. Okay. Well, is there anything else we want to talk about quickly before we go? I mean, generally, this was just kind of us playing through like the initial first experiences and thinking and talking about the different things. It's interesting. I think there's definitely some bits and bobs where we're like, I feel like this could change. Actually, thinking about this as well, looking at my specializations and my traits, including my utilities, I would like a lot more stuff earlier in the game, but I'm only level 7. Like, that's it. Maybe because we've been talking and playing, I feel like I've been playing for a long time, but I don't know. Maybe there's your first trait is level 21. I still feel like that's a little late for my liking.
I actually prefer the old system of gaining weapon skills, where you just used your weapon over time and they would unlock. I love that, but I think it's okay that they lock profession mechanics and utilities behind levels. That's fine. But the weapons, I would prefer if they changed that to the old way.
Yeah, the leveling up of it was fun as well, and seeing that little graphic, because I remember. Do you remember there was like a little progress bar as well? Yeah, that was cool. I like that because it was like another goal, right? It was like another little mini XP bar, even though it didn't take that long. Still, yeah, that was like a little goal. I enjoyed that. I can agree with that for sure.
It's almost like you're training your weapon.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. I think because it made you like feel like you're more proficient in that thing specifically. Even though, later on it doesn't matter, but still. Yeah, I don't know. There's bits like first unlock your first utility barring your heal skill, obviously level 11, 15, 19, 31. I think that's okay. Utilities isn't too bad. Weapons as well, you seem to be getting them okay. I had the choice between I would like to be given a choice of weapons right from the beginning of the game though. I would bang, like here is a table of weapons.
Creation. Instead of like selecting your charisma, your ferocity, you choose your starting weapon.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool.
I'm not yeah, I guess that's fine because you get other weapons over time. So I was considering like, do you want to have that weapon when you're starting out and you don't necessarily know what that weapon does?
They definitely need to give you the
ranged Condi, ranged power, close melee Condi, like whatever.
It would 100% need to give you that information. All the videos like we were talking about before. Yeah, I feel like that's something that would be cool.
That would actually be kind of helpful in general.
Yeah.
For some new players, I'm thinking like just have a little description under sword, for example.
I agree.
Yeah.
The videos, like, I think one of the best things I found about playing like more Eastern MMOs specifically is the video information and being like, oh, there's a little mini video clip comes up on this ability. It's not even the weapon. It's just like there is an ability and it does this, and if you do this, it changes it, etc., etc. Elion actually specifically recently that I played was very good at doing that.
Like Desert Online does like a mini showcase.
Yeah.
And it just shows all the characters are pretty badass, but it's cool to see.
That's right. That's right. Amazing.
Okay.
A fun podcast, everyone. I hope you have all enjoyed it. I might get to save these characters. Remember your accounts and stuff like that. I might come back to this and continue it from now until potentially, you know, another 10 levels, but maybe focus more on like actually leveling.
Okay, so I won't delete newbie boots.
Don't delete newbie boots.
Live on forever.
Or get a character to 7, which you probably do in the intro that I talk about the podcast and the next one. But yeah, like fantastic. It's been really, really fun to kind of do this with you all, and it's a different experience, and I'm still learning. Definitely since like last time was really, really hectic, and we're all really excited, and this time it was a lot more calm. We all got to, it's very good. I'm loving it. Yeah. I'm loving it. Good job everyone.
I know. Never mind.
No, go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, for the next Lightbringers, it's gonna probably be podcast, but then the next one is also the guild chat. Wait, there's actually a guild chat next week. There's 2 guild chats, skips and fishing, and then the next one after that is the elite.
They might just both be
podcast. Yeah.
They might just both be. It's all really. I'm gonna base it off of what is gonna be on. So the next Lightbringers plays might not be for a couple of weeks, if that's the case, if there is guild chats in the next couple of weeks, because I feel like we could talk about a lot. I really want to talk about skips and fish. Yeah. And I really want to talk about all the other stuff, and then the week after that we can do plays, and we can play the elite specializations that week when they're out, so that would be pretty cool. So yeah, so the next in the Lightbringers plays will be elite specializations. Yes. Let's go, because let's get Boots to dinner. I'm jealous about your dinner.
Get the good noms.
Get the good noms. Okay, so everyone, thanks so much for watching. We're gonna do a little bit of an outro there and talk about ourselves for a moment. So, Age joining us again today. How are you doing? Thank you very much indeed for coming on today. I really, really appreciate it. Just tell us a little bit about where we can find you and all the bits and bobs post the podcast. You know what you're doing. You've got a podcast on Saturdays as well. Let us know about the times and where to do that. Have a look.
Yeah, so I stream. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at Age Night Road. Again, I'm part of Mad Realms, which we do a Guild Wars 2 podcast every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And yeah, I stream mostly Guild Wars 2 and Apex Legends, and I'm probably gonna get back into Final Fantasy 14 because LightBringers is coming out in November. And yeah, I'm just playing games, having fun, chilling. That's about it.
Chill. Awesome to have you here again, my friend. Good to see you.
Always happy to be here.
Yeah, definitely get you on in the future, maybe on this one again as well, specifically, because we could have the leveling up team. There you go. Boots and Dog.
Yeah.
Where do you do the things? How do you do them? Yes.
I do YouTube. Find me at World of Vendors. This is Poutine. He's my dog. He's the best. And yeah, find me there. Also, you can find me here on Lightbringers or on another podcast, Host of Ascalon. I think we're starting back up again this month. Sometimes on some other things. And yeah.
Awesome. Everyone's description, everyone's going to be in the description below wherever this is. You're going to be able to find links to all their stuff and content, as well as their pre-purchase for End of Dragons, if they have them. Of course. You'll be able to do that. I'm sorry, Age. If you want to go and pre-purchase End of Dragons via their link, make sure you go and do that. If they give me the ones to go do that, I'd appreciate it. Support the peoples. Obviously, if you're going to buy any expansion with Guild Wars 2, make sure you're going to go and use the supporters link. They're all official ones as well. Kroof is one of those people who has one and does things on the interwebs. What do you do? Where do you do it? Tell us a bit.
Hi, everybody. My name's Kroof.
Oh God.
I like to eat bread off the floor. No, hello. I do a lot of YouTube stuff. The videos are posted there maybe multiple times a week. And I also stream here on Twitch Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And my Twitter is pretty memey. So if you would like some memes, don't let them be dreams. And you can find them on my Twitter. So thank you for the invite as well. I had a lovely time on the podcast. I had the gameplay and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was good. I really enjoyed that. And also the podcast will be back next week. If you do want to watch the podcast live, it's on twitch.tv/JebroUnity at 12 p.m. Pacific. That's kind of when it goes up, and then it starts within that kind of half an hour between 12 and half 12 Pacific, which is 7 p.m. GMT. And yeah, depending on my schedule, that time may change in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But yes, I am Jebro Unity on Twitch and all the things. YouTube as well, doing a lot more YouTube content. This is where the video for Lightbringers is. So if you want to go and watch the VOD, go to my Twitch channel or go to the YouTube. You can get to both places from both locations. You can also anchor.fm as well as /JebroUnity. You can go over there and listen to all of the podcasts, and then Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the stuff, and check out videos, reels, clips, all the things. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. And go and support the podcast as well on Anchor. There is a button where you can do that if you do want to support. Muchly appreciated. Yeah, a lot of effort goes into doing these, planning these, and getting tons of awesome guests, as well as the content and everything else. And now it's a weekly thing, so it's gone from once a month or once every couple of months to once every 2 weeks, to now the request from most people I keep getting DMs for of being once a week. So people apparently enjoy it, so that's good. So thank you again. Yes.
We're drained.
Good lord, talking about the game so much. But it's a good time to be excited about the game. Ender Dragons, loads of new players. Thank you so much for watching and listening. We will see you next time on the Lightbringers podcast. This has been Lightbringers Plays episode 2. See you next time.